everybody, it's me, Laura, and today I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about colored pencil with eggshell. And right here you can see I've got some of these little cotton gloves. These are very important. I want to go over some of the tools. This is one that you really definitely want to have. A cotton glove can hold your egg while you're designing on it, and the reason why I do that is so that the oils on my hand do not go onto an eggshell. You know, you can smudge and smear graphite or colored pencil or whatever on egg really easy, but I do find that my cotton gloves take down some of that smudging and smearing. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring in my dish, and this is a sharpener. It's a pencil sharpener. It has a Kum blade in it, which are made in Germany. They're one of the best sharpeners around. You could generally find these at your local craft stores, so go look for those. But look for, it says Kum on the blade. That's what I really suggest. They're nice blades. And then I have a dish separated out just so I could do it, do my sharpening. Now this right here that I'm bringing in is the Hovel. It's made by U.S. cabinet makers. It's also a sharpener. It's a very expensive sharpener, but I like it, especially if you have a pencil that breaks a lot. So you're going to find, for instance, like with Prismacolor pencils, they have a tendency to break, like their leads seem to break all the time. Well, part of that is because the lead's not so good in there. You could put it near a windowsill where the sun's going, where it's fairly warm, and it might help some of that pigment go back together. But I also suggest using a Hovel. I will leave a link in my description area on this particular item, but I know it's expensive, but for me, the fact of that it's got a planer makes it so much nicer to use. I don't have to worry about twisting like with my other sharpener and then the lead possibly breaking. This really takes that down when I'm able to use that Hovel sharpener. Now another little item I like to use, and you may or may not be able to find them really well nowadays, these are my old photo canisters. If you could find something similar, I definitely suggest it. It's nice because you could put a sharpener in there, and if you're on the go and you're going somewhere, this is a nice way to keep the sharpener and its shavings all in one little spot. When I was in college, my professor suggested this, and I never looked back since. I love those things. It's also a great place for, as you could tell, I've got my kneaded erasers in here too. Okay, so another little item I like is, this is a dish and it's a little sponge. Now generally what I will do is I'll wet this sponge, and when I wet this, I use this for my watercolor pencils. Yes, I can use water, but in a lot of ways when you're working on eggshell with your pigments, whether it's Derwent Intense or it's the Faber's Albert Durs, hopefully I said that right, watercolor pencils, the thing is, when you're using watercolor pencil on eggshell, you don't need a lot of water. And sometimes even just dipping your brush into the water might be too much, and you'll have to brush a little off. I found that if you use this sponge, you get just about the right amount of, water necessary. Also, of course, I'm showing my brushes here. Some are kind of large, some are kind of small. I tend to go towards the smaller side, especially on eggshell, and if you're doing a small leg like a chicken egg. You might also notice right here, I've got this container. Now, I found this thing at Walmart, and it was a toothbrush holder for on the travel, on the go. Go look for those. For your smaller brushes, they fit just fine in here, and it's a nice way to protect them and take them with you when you go somewhere. Because, the thing is with brushes, you're always trying to find a way to, go with them without them getting damaged. This, I think, helps immensely. Okay, so the next tool I'm going to bring is another brush. Now, this is different from the others. The others are made for watercolor. This one is made for brushing off any crumbs from your colored pencil on your eggshell or any project. So get a larger brush for just brushing off the crumbs. Okay, so here's my Derwent Inktense, and I've used these pencils quite a bit. I put them in their original container so I could show you how they usually come to you. It's usually in one of these tins, but I don't like to keep my pencils in these tins. I like to take them out and put them in one of these containers. And this is, I do believe I found this at Hobby Lobby, but it's the Speedball pencil cases. This one is a 24 count. There's also a 48 and a 120. And I love these things. However, that being said, there are a couple of drawbacks to these cases. One, they're all the same color. So trying to decipher each pencil type from another when it's all zipped up is hard to do. So I had to put little tags or little diadems on the zipper parts. Two, the wide band on that hold the pencils, it holds up to 4. So if you have single pencils and you just want to get one out, sometimes you get more than one out when you're having these wide bands that hold a bunch of them at once. And 3, there's not a ton of room for tall pencils. I've had it where I've zipped these up and I've had like a really tall pencil in there, and the zipper will actually kind of come across the pigments in the pencils, which to me, I'm like, oh, I kind of cringe a little bit. So for me, I really like to use these particular cases for current projects. And what I mean is, like, I'll use them for pencils that are being used or have been used, because those pencils, generally they're a little bit shorter. You've used them a little bit. They're not right up against the zipper where they might get caught because you're zipping it up and it's a brand new pencil. And I'll even make it where when I put new pencils in these things, I'll put them kind of in the center so they don't get knocked too badly by that zipper. So you're probably wondering, okay, then why are you even putting it in this container? Well, here's the thing. Those tins, they're great when they come all nice and packaged and everything. But the problem is that if you've got this out, say you're at home and you accidentally drop it, the lid can pop off, the pencils go everywhere. And if you have Prismacolor are highly susceptible to breakage. The leads inside those pencils in particular can break. And then you're like dealing with sharpening it and then the lead breaks, sharpening, lead breaks. You really don't want to have to deal with that. And these particular containers I also like because they have a nice protective, case. These things are padded. The case itself is padded and it'll hold the pencils in place. They're not going to rattle around like they might in one of these tins. And that way then they're going to be, you won't have to worry about breakage. Even if it lands on its side or anything, they're nice and protected. Now, here's the container I really like recently. It's got a handle on the one end, which is really, really nice for carrying. And then these also come in different colors. So I've got a black one here, but they have like a gray, a purple, a red, really kind of nice. Also, there's 4 slots. This thing holds up to 72 pencils. And when I open it up, it has this one area on the front part where you can put a sharpener and an eraser. I love that. Plus, if I want my burnisher and my blender pencil right up front, I could put that there along with my black and white to lighten and darken. But it has 72 slots, so you could put like a whole set of, like, say, Derwent Inktense pencils in there, and the Lightfast series goes in here too, as far as I know, unless they have increased it. But yes, they work out really great, and they're individually slotted. The other thing I love about that. So you don't have just 4 to 1 slot, you have them individually slotted. And right here, this is the pink one that they had, so it's really bright. But I love these cases. They're really nice. There's the gray. And again, this way then I can decipher between which kind of pencils I'm dealing with. Right now I put the Polychromos, Faber-Castell Polychromos in the black ones, and then the Albert Durs of Faber into the gray pouches. So really, really fun. And don't worry guys, I'm going to go ahead and put links and everything in the description area on this video, so if you want to go and find these cases, you can find them online. Okay, so I'm getting my little white glove on here, and I've got this chicken egg just kind of, roaming around on my table a little bit, but I also have my pencils, and I just wanted to kind of show you guys the benefit of swatching on an eggshell. And to those of you who know some about colored pencil, in colored pencil land, they like to swatch. In other words, put down some pigment onto a piece of paper to see what that actual colored pencil will look like on paper. I suggest doing the same thing on eggshell. So right here I've got a chicken egg, and I've just started off on one side with this red that I've got, and I'm just swatching it in. And the reason why they do that and why I suggest you do it on eggshell is so that you can see what that pigment looks like on that eggshell. Eggshell's a different color from paper, and every paper out there is not always white. So it makes sense. You want to see what the colors actually look like, because the colors that are in, like say a Prismacolor, blue or red or whatever, each of those colors, they do not look like what the barrel of that, pencil looks like. A lot of barrels will not look anything like what they might tint it in the store as. So for instance, you might have an orange and it might look really dark even in the barrel, okay? Or it might have a really dark color on the outside where they've colored it, but it might go down and it might be really, really light or really, really bluish or yellowish or whatever. This is why you swatch on paper and why I suggest you do it also on eggshell. And I know that's like, okay, gee, I got to swatch out my colors. And I'm like, yes, you got to swatch out your colors. It does make a difference. And really, when you think about it, I mean, right here, I got goose on my left. I've got a piece of ostrich egg down below, the emu, the duck eggs. I got some brown chicken and then regular white chickens. Each of these shells are different. So when you put pigment down on any of these shells, they're all going to be a little different in what that particular pigment from that colored pencil is going to look like. So you really definitely need to swatch out these eggshells. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, gee, that's a lot of eggs. Here's what I would suggest doing. If you have some spare eggshell around of a certain type, so like goose egg or emu or rhea or ostrich, any kind of broken eggshell, because I know we all have them. We all have broken eggshell. Save those back. Use that as your scrap shell to go ahead and do any kind of swatching on. That way then you don't have to go ahead and get a new egg out and then swatch on it. Now, I know this is like, this is a chicken egg, and generally chicken eggs, you get a lot of those. So it doesn't really matter so much there. But with your larger eggs, it can be more problematic. So go back to your paper first and swatch out all of your colored pencils and refer back to that swatching as your reference guide. And then when you want to start a project using colored pencil on eggshell, just take the colors you have selected for that project and swatch them on the egg of your choice. This way then you can determine whether or not you like those particular colors on that shell. Okay, I could not get past not mentioning my Black Widow pencils. What can I say? Yes, these are not Lightfast tested. These are not something that you would probably use on a finished project or something that you would sell. But I love these pencils. And the reason why is because of the names. I love this: Casper, Stink Bug, Starry Night, Everglade, Toxic Green. I mean, This is great. I love these pencils. They're so fun. And they do have a soft core. So they feel good when you're also, I want to say putting down pigment. It's really, really great. And they come in all these different types. So you can buy them individually. It doesn't cost you an arm and a leg right off. I want to say my Black Widow, the original set was like around 17 to 18 bucks for just that one. And it was fun just to play with them. Also, the other thing I wanted to mention here was some different containers. There's some really fun, pencil cases out there with some nice and different patterns. This was one of them. This is another 72, but it also holds my Black Widow. Banana. I'm sorry, I love it. Yellow and banana. That's so great. So these are just really fun pencils to play with. If you want to use them on eggshell, why not? They are great. And really, when it comes to that light fastness, it really depends upon how serious of an egg, like if you want to sell it, you want to make sure you give your customers your best. So I really do suggest sticking with the ASTM light fast tested pencils for doing that sort of thing. But these right here are just mainly for fun. And you need to have some of that. So this is definitely a set I suggest getting. And if you're like me, I've now become a pencil collector. So now you guys are truly forewarned that you could fall into this very addictive habit of collecting pencils. So this is my Chinese-based Colormore set. I got 160 pencils, and it was for really, gosh, it wasn't that much money. I want to say $20 to $40. I think it's probably closer to 40. But I got 160 pencils, was a lot. But the main reason I bought this thing was for the case. It wasn't even for the pencils, because I knew I wouldn't be able, or I wouldn't use the pencils themselves in a major project to go ahead and try and sell. Now, if you're not selling any kind of artwork and you're just enjoying yourself just to enjoy, go ahead and try out some of these off-brand kind of pencils. It's just fine. And even on eggshell, it would be just fine. I'm finding that the light fast thing, like I said, if you're selling and you're being a professional about this, yes, you're going to want artist grade pencils. But if you're just having fun, then you can go ahead and try all sorts of different types of pencils. These are kind of fun. They are soft core, just like Prismacolor, and really just like the Black Widows. Those are all soft core pencils, and they're wax based, so there's more wax in the pigment than there is oil. Faber is oil based, so it's a much harder pencil. Anyway, whole nother thing right there. This is my Castle Art set. It's also a soft core pencil, also wax based, and you'll be able to tell, and this is the thing with some of these pencils, the bottoms are very similar to the Chinese based, and these are apparently they're supposedly out of England. This is an English company, but I kind of wonder if maybe some of these pencils were just brought over into that country and then sold as, okay, this is from England. No. I do genuinely know that Faber is German-based, Caron is Swiss, Prismacolor is American, and Derwent is English. So that I do know. But that being said, guys, go out and try some of these off-brand pencils. They're fun to play with. Enjoy them. Now, the one thing I did not share with you guys, and this is the 120 case from Speedball. So I wanted to kind of just show you the interior of this. This thing lays out pretty long. It is also one of the reasons why I got a couple of these cases and then decided not to buy any more of these, because they're so big. I really like the smaller, the ones that I showed you before, they're 72, but the case itself, yes, it might be wide, but it's small. It's more compact. Like I said, it might be a little bit wide, but it's so much easier to deal with that than to have a big, long case to open. Okay, so right here I want to talk about the light fast charts, and this is the Prismacolor light fast chart, and so they give a rating to each color on this chart. Now you're probably like, okay, light fastness, what exactly is that? And why would I even care about light fastness? Okay, so here's the thing. The reason why, or I should say, when I started looking for colored pencils to go ahead and create on Eggshell, as an artist, you want the best possible materials and tools to work with because you want it to last, right? So I found that unlike, like acrylic paint and oil paints, which can last for a very, very long time. It's been proved, I mean, look at the Mona Lisa, right? Even though it's probably been restored. The thing is that you want something to last. Well, colored pencils are such that they will deteriorate over time, and in such a way that if they are put under direct sunlight, they will deteriorate even faster. So to help with this, I went ahead and I wanted to choose pencils that were light fast and would last the longest possible amount of time I could get. Now to do this, I thought, well, I got to check out these charts, which have been ASTM rated, and there's also the blue wool scale. That's also very reputable too, so you can go with that as well. But check out the charts and make sure that the light fast rating is a good one before buying your pencils. And with that being said, do not buy the box sets or the big sets. Yes, you can do that, but you are not guaranteed that every single pencil in that set is going to be a good one. Some of those sets, or I should say some of those pencils in those sets, have got very low quality, have got a low rating. And to me, that's just wasting money. So I might as well go ahead and just buy it in open stock. Now that being said, I will have to say there is, so Faber-Castell, their Polychromos colored pencils, that you could buy the box set on and you're good. And I would have to say this also applies to their watercolor pencils too. So the Albert Durs, those are also really, really good pencils. The reason why I say that is because in the Polychromos set, I think there were only 2 pencils that had a poor rating. And the Albert Durs, I do believe, are similar. Now as for Derwent and Prismacolor, I would definitely probably do them in open stock if at all possible. Especially the Inktense. I went back in and I checked and I was like, oh my word, my yellows and my reds did not always have a great rating. The purples are great there. Purples and blues, beautiful there. But again, check the ratings on these things. Same with Prismacolor. Prismacolor was, to me, a huge disappointment. I saw many of them that I love as the color, like my purples and my lavenders and my blues, and a few others, I was just highly disappointed. This also reinforces the notion that I like to get ASTM rated pencils or through the blue wool scale. Just because Prismacolor got their pencils tested does not mean that each one of those pencils has an excellent light fast rating. So one last little note on light fastness. You're going to find with those that are rated really well, like your Faber-Castells and your Derwents, some of them, like their light fast pencils, will have the rating on the pencil itself. And for more about light fastness and ratings and the ASTM and all that, go ahead and check in my descriptions area where I will have some either links or information on that precisely. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'm always wondering what you're thinking. Otherwise, I am sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.